I'm Eliza Carr, and the day I unlocked the door to my first home, the world went silent. The living room that once smelled of new wood and soft linen was empty. The sofa, the travertine coffee table, the brass lamp I'd saved months for gone. All that remained was a faint outline on the carpet where my furniture used to be, and a note on the kitchen counter written in my mother's handwriting. Your sister needed these more than you do. Be happy for her family shares. For a full minute I didn't breathe. I walked through every room hoping this was some kind of misunderstanding, a mix-up with the movers, maybe a bad dream. But each step echoed louder in that hollow space, each empty wall confirming what I already knew. This wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. My mother had always said family comes first. What she meant was Bianca comes first. The golden child. The one with 2 kids and an endless list of excuses. I stood there with my phone in hand, staring at her number. Part of me still wanted to believe she'd pick up and apologize, maybe even laugh it off. Instead, when I finally called, her voice came light and casual. Oh, good. You saw the note. I told the movers where to put everything in Bianca's house. You don't mind, right? You live alone. That was the moment I stopped being her easy daughter. I looked around my stripped-down living room, sunlight spilling through uncovered windows, and whispered to myself, not anymore. Because sometimes revenge doesn't start with anger. It starts with silence and a phone call to the police. When I bought the house, Mom insisted on keeping a spare key. She said it was for emergencies, the way mothers always do when they're sure you'll need them eventually. I didn't argue. I was still in that soft, hopeful phase of independence, the kind where you want to prove you can stand on your own but still crave someone's approval. The day I closed on the house, she hugged me with that proud smile that never reached her eyes. You've done well, sweetheart. But remember, family means sharing what you have. I should have caught the warning in her tone, but I was too busy imagining what curtains would go with the beige walls. 2 weeks later, I was at work finishing a client presentation when Nate, my next-door neighbor, texted. Hey, Eliza. Everything okay? There's a moving truck outside your house. Looked like your mom and sister. At first I thought he was mistaken. Maybe they'd stopped by to drop off plants or some home-warming gift. But when he sent a photo, my heart stopped. It was my mother and Bianca, arms full of boxes, my boxes. I left work early. The house felt colder than I remembered. The front door was unlocked, and the faint scent of my candle, sandalwood, and amber lingered like a memory that hadn't yet accepted it was over. Every piece of furniture I'd chosen with care was gone. The only thing left was a pair of mismatched chairs and an old TV stand from our childhood home. I called Mom. Her voice came airy and unbothered. Oh, Eliza, you're being dramatic. Bianca's been struggling with the kids. She needed it more than you do. You'll replace it, you always do. My hand tightened around the phone. You had no right. Don't be selfish, sweetheart. She said the word sweetheart, twisting into something sharp. We're family. That was the moment something inside me, something obedient and apologetic, cracked. I looked at the bare floors, the blank walls, the key hanging by the door that she still had a copy of. Family, she said. Fine, but from now on we'd play by the rules, the legal ones. The next morning I woke up in a half-empty house that didn't even echo right. The coffee tasted metallic, the air too still. I stood in the middle of my living room, phone in hand, scrolling through the receipts folder I'd saved for tax purposes. Every piece of furniture, the sofa, the rug, the accent chairs, had a price, a delivery date, a proof of ownership. It wasn't just decor anymore, it was evidence. At 9 a.m., I drove to the Maple Bend Police Department. The officer at the front desk looked skeptical when I told him what happened. So, your mom took your furniture? Yes, I said, meeting his gaze. Without permission. That's theft. He nodded slowly, then gestured toward an office door. Officer Ruiz handles property reports. Ruiz was calm, professional, and surprisingly kind. He listened, took notes, asked questions that made my anger feel organized. When he asked if there was any proof, I showed him Nate's text and the photo of the moving truck. He looked closer, then smiled slightly. That's a good neighbor you've got. Ask him if his HOA cameras picked up a clearer shot of the plates. Nate didn't even hesitate when I called. Already checked, he said. You've got the full clip. They were there for almost 2 hours. By afternoon, I sat across from Ruiz again, handing him a USB drive. He labeled it carefully, then slid a carbon copy of the report toward me. You did the right thing, he said. If she's family, that's messy, but the law's still the law. Let us handle it. That night, Mom called. "I heard you went to the police." Her voice was low measured. "I did," I said. "Eliza families don't call cops on each other." "Then families shouldn't steal from each other," I replied. Her silence hummed through the phone, long and deliberate. Finally, she sighed. "You're overreacting. You'll regret this." I looked at the carbon copy of the report on my counter, the official seal gleaming faintly under the light. "No, Mom," I said quietly. "I think for once I won't." When I hung up, the house still felt empty, but this time it didn't feel powerless. The air was different. It smelled like paper and resolve. And in that stillness, I knew the story wasn't about stolen furniture anymore. It was about stolen boundaries, and I was finally taking them back. 2 days later, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. At first, I thought it was clients reaching out for project updates, but when I opened my social feed, my stomach dropped. There she was. Bianca. Smiling in her living room, my furniture behind her captioned, "Family means sharing what we have." So grateful to my amazing mom for helping when times are tough. Thousands of likes, dozens of comments, all sympathy. What a blessing, Sister Goals. You're lucky to have a mom like her. Lucky. The word burned. For hours I stared at the screen, torn between fury and disbelief. Mom had commented too. "That's what family does, sweetheart." That night I recorded a short video, not angry, not defensive, just honest. My face calm, my voice steady. Sometimes love gets twisted into obligation. Sometimes sharing means being taken from. So here's to setting boundaries, even when it's family. I didn't name names. I didn't accuse. I just showed my empty living room the police report tucked discreetly on the counter and said, "No one gets to decide what you don't need but you." By morning, the video had exploded. Comments poured in, people sharing stories of being guilted, gaslit, drained by those closest to them. Someone wrote, "This isn't drama. This is survival." Another said, "You just said what so many of us couldn't." And then an email landed in my inbox. Subject: collaboration opportunity, Maison, Heartline Interiors. They'd seen my video. They called it a perfect reflection of modern resilience. They wanted me to host a digital campaign about reclaiming personal space through design. It felt surreal, like the universe had handed me a microphone just when I'd found my voice. Later that afternoon, Mom texted again. "I hope you're proud. You've embarrassed this family." I typed slowly. "I'm not embarrassed, Mom. I'm finally visible." When I hit send, my hands were shaking, not from fear, but release. The campaign's theme would be light and linen. Fitting, I thought. Because there's something cleansing about light, how it exposes, how it heals. For years, my life had been staged under someone else's rules. But now, for the first time, I was designing my own. Success didn't erase the problem, it just gave it better lighting. The same morning, I signed the Maison Heartline contract. I sat at my kitchen counter, staring at a legal pad with one line written across it. "They don't get to take from me anymore." That's when I called Carla Nguyen, a civil attorney a brand contact had recommended. Her voice was calm, sharp. "You've got proof Eliza receipts footage their silence. We'll send a demand letter. 7 days to return the property or pay full value plus fees." Her confidence steadied me. "Do you think they'll respond?" "They always do," she said, when they realize the law doesn't play favorites. That afternoon, I sat in her sleek steel gray office as she drafted the letter. Professional, exact, merciless. Dates, lists, legal phrasing that turned pain into evidence. When she read it aloud, my throat tightened. It was the kind of clarity I'd wanted from my family for years. The letter went out that evening. I pictured Mom slicing the envelope open, her expression shifting from irritation to disbelief. The woman who preached family comes first was about to learn that boundaries come before guilt. 3 days later, she appeared at my door with a carload of mismatched furniture, old scratched, some not even mine. "I'm trying to make peace," she said. "This isn't peace," I told her. "It's deflection." Her tone turned cold. "You'd really sue your own mother if she keeps pretending theft is love," I said. "Then yes." She left without another word. That night, I stored the furniture in the garage and sent Carla a photo. "Partial compliance," she replied. "We proceed." As I shut the door, I realized how fitting it was. The junk she returned didn't belong inside anymore, just like her version of family didn't belong in my life. For the first time, peace felt real, not the fragile kind that asks for approval, but the solid kind built on law, dignity, and self-respect. And as the 7-day deadline approached, I wasn't afraid. I was ready. The morning Maison Heartline's crew arrived. The house was still half empty. but somehow it felt fuller than ever. I'd staged the living room with a cream sofa, a wooden table, and soft throws. It wasn't expensive, but it was mine. Sloane Hart. The brand rep swept in with her usual confidence. "This light is perfect," she said. "You really made minimalism feel intentional." "It wasn't at first," I said. But loss forces clarity. While the team set up, a familiar sound echoed heels at the doorway. "Mom." Her smile was brittle. "I heard you're filming. Thought I'd stop by, maybe say a few words." "This isn't a good time, Mom." "Oh, come on, Eliza. Let people see how supportive your mother is." The crew froze. I kept my tone even. "You can wait outside. I'll talk to you after." Her expression sharpened. "You really think you're better than us now?" I turned to Sloane. "We can keep rolling." Mom hesitated, then stormed out, slamming the door. Sloane raised an eyebrow. She didn't seem thrilled. I smiled. "She's just realizing I stopped auditioning for her approval." We filmed for hours, each line layered with quiet reclamation. When it wrapped, Sloane handed me a folder. "You've got something rare, Eliza Poise, that comes from surviving something real." When they left, I sat on the sofa, afternoon light spilling in. The room finally felt warm, not because it was full, but because it was mine. Then my phone buzzed, an email from Carla. Subject: deadline expired. My pulse steadied. Whatever came next, I was ready. This wasn't revenge. It was reclamation, one boundary, one breath at a time. By the 7th day, I'd stopped checking my inbox. Calm had replaced urgency, the peace that comes when you've done everything right. That morning, Carla called. "They haven't responded. I'm filing the claim." "Do it," I said. "You sound lighter." Peace sounds a lot like boundaries. 2 days later, an envelope arrived. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Inside, a cashier's check for the full amount and a note that read, "I can't deal with court." "Let's just move on." I called Carla. They paid. "Then we file a withdrawal," she said. "You just taught them what accountability looks like." That night, I sat at my kitchen counter, the check beside me, the house softly lit. It wasn't about the money. It was proof that silence isn't surrender, and grace can coexist with strength. A week later, the Maison Heartline video went live. The tagline read, "Home is the space you protect, not the one you share out of guilt." On screen, I walked through my house, sunlight filtering through curtains. Sometimes my voice narrated rebuilding doesn't mean replacing. It means redefining what's yours. The video hit 1 million views in 2 days. Messages poured in from women saying I finally set boundaries. Mom never called again. Bianca texted once, "I'm sorry." I didn't reply. Some stories end in silence. That night, I sat on my sofa, new but familiar, and looked out at the quiet street. For the first time in years, I wasn't the spare daughter or the responsible one. I was just me. The victory wasn't in the report or the check. It was this breathing steady free. Because the best revenge isn't rage. It's peace no one can take away. A month after the settlement, the house finally looked the way I'd imagined it. Not picture perfect, not showroom neat, but real. The walls smelled faintly of paint and eucalyptus candles, my curtains danced in the breeze, and the afternoon light poured across the floor like forgiveness. Sometimes I'd catch myself pausing at the doorway, remembering the first day I walked in and saw emptiness. Back then it had felt like loss. Now that same emptiness meant possibility. Space for new things, new rules, and a version of me that no longer apologized for wanting peace. One evening, Nate stopped by with his kids. They were holding a small plant, the tag reading, "Housewarming, Take 2." I laughed and hugged them, the sound echoing softly in the open room. After they left, I sat by the window, tracing the faint scar on the floor where my old table had stood. I didn't see anger anymore, just a reminder of how far I'd come. Later that night, I lit a candle and opened the folder with the Maison Heartline campaign photos. In one shot, I was standing by the front door, sunlight spilling behind me, a quiet smile on my face. Beneath it, the caption read, "Light doesn't ask for permission to enter. It just does." I thought about my mother, about how she believed control and love were the same thing. Maybe someday she'd understand that letting go was its own form of care. But if she didn't, that was okay too. I glanced around the room once more, every lamp, every frame, every chair chosen by me. Not taken, not borrowed, not shared. I whispered to the still air, "This house is mine. This peace is mine." And as the last light faded through the window, I realized something simple and certain: I didn't need closure from them. The light was enough.